Jai Hind everyone. Myself Dr. Vandana Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. The subject which I am taking, subject is Engineering Physics and the code is KS101T. The topic which I have started, topic is Relativistic Mechanics. And under this topic, we have discussed about the frame of references, and under this we have discussed about inertial and non-inertial frames. So basically a frame of reference is a set of 4 coordinate axes, that is 3 position coordinates and a time coordinate, and the combination of those 4 coordinate axes that will form a frame of reference. And under this we are having inertial and non-inertial frames. Inertial frames, which are also known as unaccelerated, and they completely follows Newton's law of inertia, Newton's laws of motion. Non-inertial, they are known as accelerated frames, and they are not going to follow Newton's laws of motion. After that we have derived 4 equations in classical mechanics. Basically there is a set of 4 equations, 3 equations for position coordinates and 1 equation for time coordinate, and those equations will correlate the coordinates of one inertial frame into the coordinates of other inertial frame, or in other words you can say those 4 equations will transform the coordinates of one inertial frame into the coordinates of other inertial frame, and those equations are known as Galilean equations. So we have discussed these equations, we have discussed these frame of references. After that we have discussed about an universal frame of reference. We have discussed about ether frame of reference, and in order to prove the existence of that ether frame, the most famous experiment, Michelson-Morley experiment, that was performed by Michelson and Morley to prove the existence of ether by finding relative velocity of earth with respect to ether. So we have discussed about that Michelson-Morley experiment. We have discussed that how that experiment was performed, what was the objective of experiment, what were the working steps of that particular experiment, and finally we have discussed about the result of Michelson-Morley experiment, which was not the expected result, that was a negative result. And after that, after the failure of this Michelson-Morley experiment, the origin of new theory of relativity, that is special theory of relativity, started, and from there we have postulates of special theory of relativity. One is principle of equivalence and one is principle of constancy of speed of light. And using those postulates of special theory of relativity, what we have done, we have derived again a set of 4 equations, but these equations, they are Lorentz equations applicable in relativistic mechanics. Means when the object which is moving, if the velocity of that object is comparable to c, then you are having a new set of 4 equations. And as we have discussed in our previous lectures, that Lorentz transformations or Lorentz equations are actually the base or heart of relativistic mechanics. You can derive the relationship for any parameter in relativistic mechanics using those Lorentz equations. So we have derived those equations there. After that we have proved that length is also affected by motion. In relativistic mechanics, since nothing is absolute, everything is relative, so we have derived an expression for length contraction. Means we have proved that along the direction of motion, if the velocity of object is comparable to c, then for a stationary observer the length will get contract, and that contraction will take place through a factor of root 1 minus v square upon c square, or in other words you can say that contraction is because of the motion of object. So you have this concept of length contraction. After that we have proved that time is also affected by motion, and we have derived an expression for time dilation. Means a stationary clock that will always measure a longer time interval as compared to a moving clock for an event which is occurring in moving frame. So that concept is known as time dilation. Under this we have proved that time dilation is a real effect, and in other or you can say that this time dilation or the elongation of time period or time interval, that is also observed in real life. It is not only a mathematical concept. Using the concept of mu mesons, we have proved that only because of time dilation, the mu mesons which are actually created at a distance of 10 kilometers from the surface of Earth, they can be present also at the surface of Earth. Means that that is an experimental evidence for the time dilation effect. After that, we are having this theorem which is known as velocity addition theorem. So this theorem is nothing but it will correlate the velocity component of one inertial frame into the velocity component of other inertial frame. So you have this addition theorem, and there are two special cases which we have discussed using this addition theorem. One is that maximum possible speed for any material particle is speed of light. We have proved that with the help of addition theorem. And the second one, that this addition theorem completely follows second postulate of special theory of relativity. So up to here we have discussed. We have also discussed the variation of mass with the velocity of a particle. Means we have proved that mass is also affected by motion. You know this famous formula, m is equal to m naught upon under root 1 minus v square upon c square. So in this derivation, what we have done, we have proved that mass is also affected by motion. If there is an object and if that object is moving with relativistic speed, then mass will increase with respect to the rest mass, but that will possible if v is comparable to c. After that, we have derived this most famous Einstein mass energy relationship. Means according to this, mass can be converted into energy and energy can be converted into mass. We have derived this relationship, E is equal to mc square. And there are lots of experimental facts, or you can say examples of this mass energy conversion, that during nuclear fusion fission there is a conversion of mass into energy or energy into mass, right? So we have derived this relationship, E is equal to mc square. This expression is applicable in relativistic mechanics. And one more point is there, that kinetic energy in relativistic mechanics is m minus m naught c square. We have also solved a few numericals based upon these relationship. So you have to solve numericals based upon all these concepts. After that, we have derived this relationship between energy and momentum, and we will also correlate the kinetic energy and momentum. So I am going to start from here. So only two topics are left in this relativistic mechanics now. We have already discussed one part of relativistic relation between energy and momentum. So I am repeating that and then we will move ahead. So what we are going to discuss here? We are going to discuss the relationship between energy and momentum. In last lecture, we have derived this, that how you are getting a relationship between energy and momentum in relativistic mechanics. So I am repeating that process. What you have here, you know, according to mass energy relationship, E is mc square. You all know that energy is converted into mass and mass can be converted into energy. And you also know that m is equal to m naught upon root 1 minus v square upon c square, right? This is the relationship between mass and the velocity of a particle. You also know that momentum is equal to m into v, right? Momentum is m into v. This m can be rest mass, this can be greater than rest mass. That will depend upon the relationship between v and c. If v is very small with respect to c, then m is always m naught. I hope this point is clear. And if v is comparable to c, then m is greater than m naught. And what is the exact relationship between m and m naught? That will depend upon the relationship between v and c. After this, what you have done, you have substituted this m here. After that, you have taken the square of that, p square is equal to this one, and after solving, what you are getting here? You are getting p square c square equal to this. So from here, you are finding the value of v square. So we have already derived this relationship there. E is mc square. So from here, what is E square? That is m square c4. So m square, this m can be substituted as m square I am writing here, m naught square upon 1 minus v square upon c square. So you know how I am writing this relationship. After substituting, you are getting e square equal to this. Now just simplify it. So when you will simplify m naught square c4 and here 1 minus instead of v square, now you will substitute equation number 3 here, and after solving, finally you are getting this relationship. So this is the famous relationship between total energy and momentum. E is total energy here, m naught is rest mass, c you know it is speed of light, p you know it is relativistic momentum. So this is the relationship between relativistic momentum and energy, right? So now we are going to derive a relationship between kinetic energy and momentum. Up to here we have discussed in our last lecture. Now I am going to derive a relationship between kinetic energy and momentum. But before that, I am going to solve a numerical here, question here. Question is, you have to prove that if there is a particle with rest mass m naught and kinetic energy k, right? You have a particle and that particle is having a rest mass m naught and k is the kinetic energy of that particle. You have to prove that in relativistic mechanics, the de Broglie wavelength for this particle is h upon under root k into k plus 2m naught c square, right? You have to prove this. This is hc upon under root k into k plus 2m naught c square. So what is given in the question? Given is you have a particle with rest mass m naught. So if the particle is having rest mass m naught, what will be its rest mass energy? The rest mass energy will be equal to, you know this, it will be m naught c square, and k is the kinetic energy. So what will be total energy? Total energy will be equal to kinetic plus rest mass energy. So this is given in the question, that total energy is k plus m naught c square, right? And you also know what is the relationship between energy and momentum. You have derived in your last lecture. E square is, I have shown you in the last slide, E square is p square c square plus m naught square c4. This is the relationship between energy and momentum. Now what you have to do? You have to substitute the value of E here. So what is E? E is k plus m naught c square equals to p square c square plus m naught square c4, right? Now just simplify this equation in order to find momentum. From here find the momentum. So just simplify left hand side. When you will simplify it, you will get k square plus m naught square c4 plus 2k m naught c square. This is your left hand side, and on the right hand side you are getting p square c square plus m naught square c4. Now this is m naught square c4 and this is also m naught square c4. So this will get cancelled and you are getting here k square plus 2k m naught c square upon into p square c square. So what is required? You require only momentum. So p square will be equal to k square. I am taking k common here. So k plus 2m naught c square divided by c square. This is your p square. So what is p? P will be equal to root of k into k plus, I am just simplifying it, 2m naught c square upon c. So this is momentum for a particle which is having rest mass m naught and kinetic energy k. Now what you require? You require you require de Broglie wavelength associated with this particle. You know the de Broglie relationship, that lambda is equal to h upon p. This is a famous de Broglie's equation for wavelength, h upon p, where h is Planck's constant. And you know momentum for this particle is according to relativistic mechanics, it is equal to this. So just substitute the value of p from equation number 3rd. Substitute p in this equation, So finally what you are getting? You are getting hc upon root of k into k plus 2m naught c square. So this is your required result. You have to prove that if there is a particle of rest mass m naught and if k is the kinetic energy of that particle, then the de Broglie wavelength associated with such type of particle is equal to this. So how you have proved? You have taken a particle with rest mass m naught k and kinetic energy k. So total energy is kinetic plus rest mass energy. So take the square of this. This is equal to k plus m naught c square whole square, and you know E square is equal to P square C square plus m naught square C4. This is your relationship between total energy and momentum. So after substituting and simplifying it for momentum, you are getting the momentum. Now substitute that momentum in this de Broglie's expression of de Broglie wavelength, and then you are getting this required result. So this is the method to solve this question, right? I am taking one more question here. I hope this one is clear. Now the question is that you have an electron. So now the particle is an electron and you have to calculate the amount of work to be done. You have an electron, you have to calculate the amount of work to be done in order to increase the speed of an electron from 0.6 c to 0.8 c. I hope the question is clear. You have to calculate the amount of work to be done in order to increase the speed of an electron from 0.6 c to 0.8 c. So you have to calculate this. So first we have to understand what is the meaning of question. There is an electron and that electron is moving with 0.6 c. It means that electron is having momentum, that electron is moving with some kinetic energy, and since the velocity of that electron is 0.6 c, it is a case of relativistic mechanics. So you have to increase the speed of that electron from 0.6 c to 0.8 c, and then you have to calculate that what will be the amount of work to be done in order to increase that speed. So basically the amount of work to be done in order to increase the speed of that electron from 0.6 c to 0.8 c, that will be equal to its change in kinetic energy. I hope that one is clear. It means the work done is basically the change in kinetic energy, that is K2 minus K1. So what is K2 here, and what is K1? So basically this K1 is the kinetic energy when the velocity is 0.6 c, right? And K2, that is the kinetic energy of electron when it is moving with 0.8 c. And you know in relativistic mechanics, what is the formula for kinetic energy? The formula for kinetic energy is m minus m naught c square. So what is m here? M is the relativistic mass, and what is m naught? That is rest mass. And this relativistic mass, that depends upon the velocity of particle. So when the velocity is 0.6 c, I am writing this relativistic mass as m1. So what will be kinetic energy when the speed is 0.8 c? On the similar line, the formula is m minus m naught c square, right? Where m is the relativistic mass when the velocity is 0.8 c. So I am writing that relativistic mass as m2. And in both the cases, here m naught is the rest mass of electron, and you know rest mass of electron, that is same because the particle is same, so rest mass is also same. So the work done, according to this, the work done is the change in kinetic energy. Substitute the value of K2 as well as K1. So you are getting, after substitution, you are getting m2 minus m1 c square. I hope this is clear. So the amount of work done to increase the speed of electron from 0.6 c to 0.8 c is basically the increase in kinetic energy. So that will give you the work done. And you know the relativistic mass and rest mass, they are associated with formula m naught upon under root 1 minus v square upon c square. And when the velocity is 0.8 c, I'm writing that as V2. So this is under root 1 minus V2 square upon C square minus, sorry, this is m naught, give me 1 minute. This is m naught upon under root 1 minus V1 square upon C square, right, into C square. What is V2 and what is V1? This V2 is basically 0.8 C, and what is V1? That is yours 0.6 C. Now everything is just in front of you. M naught, as you can see here, that is the constant factor. So if you will take m naught as common, so you are getting here m naught C square into 1 upon under root 1 minus, this is your 0.8 C square whole square, means 0.64 C square upon C square, that will get cancelled, minus 1 upon under root 1 minus, instead of V1 you will write 0.6 C there. So when you will write 0.6 C, you will get here 0.36 C square will get cancelled, you are getting only this, right. So after substitution you are getting this work done is equal to m naught C square into 1 upon, now you have under root 1 minus 0.64. So after subtraction you will get 0.36, and outside this under root you will get 0.6 minus, this will be 0.64, and under root of 0.64, that will be equal to 0.8. So you are getting this. Now this m naught C square, this is the rest mass energy of electron, and the rest mass energy of electron you can calculate it, because you know rest mass of electron is 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. C square is that speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. So square of that 9 into 10 raised to power 16. If you want to write it in electron volt, then you have to divide it by 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19. So if you will solve, then this rest mass energy is approximately 0.51 mega electron volt, right. Now you have this m naught C square. Now you can simplify this. This will be 10 by 6 and this will be 10 by 8. Subtract it, substitute it, and you will get the work done to increase the speed of electron from 0.6 C to 0.8 C. So once again I am repeating that how you are going to solve it. So first you have to understand what is the meaning of question. Question is, you have a particle and that particle is electron. It means its rest mass is already known to us, and you have to find the amount of work done to increase the speed from 0.6 C to 0.8 C. So you know when a particle is moving with 0.6 C, it is having kinetic energy, and if the particle is moving with 0.8 C, it means it is also having some kinetic energy, and you have to increase that speed from 0.6 C to 0.8 C, means during that process there will be a change in kinetic energy, and that change in kinetic energy is basically equal to the amount of work done to increase the speed of electron from 0.6 C to 0.8 C. So using that logic, we are writing here the work done is K2 minus K1. You know in relativistic mechanics, the kinetic energy is simply m minus m naught C square. So at 0.6 C, you are writing m1 minus m naught C square. At 0.8 C, you are writing that kinetic energy as m2 minus m naught C square. So K2 minus K1 is this, and you know what is the formula for relativistic mass, that is given by this. V2 is your 0.8 C and V1 is your 0.6 C. Substitute it, simplify it, and after that you will get the work done to increase the speed of electron from 0.6 C to 0.8 C. So in order to solve such type of numericals, you have to adopt this method, right. So try to solve numericals based upon the concept of relativistic mass and energy. So try to solve all these questions. Now I am taking the next topic, that which is the relationship between kinetic energy and momentum. So means you are going to derive a relationship for kinetic energy of a particle in relativistic mechanics, and how that kinetic energy of relativistic mechanics that will approach to classical mechanics, that we will try to solve here. So what you have, kinetic energy is m minus m naught C square. that you know that kinetic energy in relativistic mechanics is equal to m minus m naught c square. So first point is K is m minus m naught c square. What is m here? That is your relativistic mass. M naught, that is your rest mass. Now what is the value of m? What is the relativistic mass relationship between relativistic mass and velocity of a particle? This is the relationship. M is equal to m naught upon under root 1 minus v square upon c square. Substitute this m here. If after substitution you will get K is equal to m naught upon root of 1 minus v square upon c square minus m naught, right, into c square. Now take this m naught as a common factor. You have taken m naught common, and this root 1 minus v square upon c square, that is in denominator. So you can write it as 1 minus v square upon c square raised to power minus 1 by 2. Now what you have to do? Binomially you can expand this particular term. If you will expand it, then its expansion will be m naught c square will remain as it is, and the expansion of this particular term is 1 plus v square upon 2c square, right? Then you will have higher terms, and in those higher terms, in the denominator you will get the higher power of c. And since the value of c is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per seconds, and the higher powers of c, that is having larger value in the denominator, it means the higher terms in this binomial expansion, they are having very small value with respect to 1. So with respect to 1, you can neglect those higher terms. So only the terms which we are taking here, that is only 1 plus v square upon t square, 2c square, neglecting higher terms. And finally you have this minus 1 there. So minus 1 and plus 1. So what is the remaining term here? So the remaining term is only v square upon 2c square. Now 2c square, that will get cancelled, and what you are getting? You are getting half m naught v square. And you know what is half m naught v square? That is your classical kinetic energy. In classical mechanics, the kinetic energy is half m naught v square. So this is your classical kinetic energy, means the result of relativistic mechanics that will finally approach to classical mechanics. And how they are approaching? You have to just simplify it, and you are getting this classical kinetic energy of a particle from the relativistic relationship. Means all the results of relativistic mechanics, they are finally approaching to the results of classical mechanics, or you can say classical mechanics is a special case of relativistic mechanics. I hope this is clear. Now I am taking the last topic of this chapter, that is your massless particles. So massless particles, I am giving you one example. Photon, that is your massless particle. So any particle which is having zero rest mass, that particle is known as a massless particle. Means the rest mass of massless particles, that is always 0, but these particles, they are having relativistic mass, and that relativistic mass is because of their energy, right? I hope you are getting my point. What I am saying, a massless particle like photon, that is always having a 0 rest mass, and it is having relativistic mass, and that relativistic mass is because of the energy of particle. And these particles, they will exist only if they are moving. These particles, they have their existence if they are moving with speed of light. So you have two very important aspects, or two very important features of massless particles. The first point is, these particles, they are always having 0 rest mass. And the second one which I have mentioned, that these particles, they always travels with speed of light. A particle which has 0 rest mass is called a massless particle. And one more point I am highlighting here, that massless particles, they always travels with speed of light, and they are having relativistic mass only because of their energy. So how you can prove it that massless particle will travel with c, that I am trying to solve here. You know the relationship between total energy and momentum. That relationship is E square P square is, sorry, E square is P square C square plus m naught square C4. This is your relationship between energy and momentum. And for a massless particle, you know that m naught is 0. If m naught is 0, so what you are getting? You are getting E is equal to Pc. It means if you want to write momentum of a massless particle, then what is the momentum of a massless particle? It is E by C. This is the momentum, right? And you also know that E is, according to mass energy relationship, it is mc square, right? And E is also P into C. If you will simplify it, if you will equate these two, you are getting here that momentum is equal to m into C. And you also know that momentum in general form can be written as m into V, and from here that is equal to m into C. So what you are finally getting here? You are getting that the velocity of a massless particle, that is always equal to velocity of light. Means a massless particle that always travels with velocity of light. How you have proved it? From relativistic relation between energy and momentum, you have E square is equal to P square C square plus m naught square C4. This is your equation number 1. And for a massless particle, you know m naught is 0. If m naught 0, you are getting E is equal to Pc. And you also know that E is mc square. Just equate these two. If you will equate, you will get m is equal to P is equal to m into C, means mv is equal to mc, means m will get cancelled and v is equal to c. So a massless particle that always travels with speed of light, its rest mass is 0 and its total energy can be written as P into C, right? And if you want to write the relativistic mass of a massless particle, it will be equal to E by C square. Photon, a neutrino, these are the examples of massless particles, right? A massless particle means a particle with 0 rest mass. So that is your massless particle. Now I am going to solve a numerical based upon these massless particles. So what you have to solve here, you have to calculate the rest mass, the relativistic mass and momentum of a photon of energy 5 electron volt, right? So what is given in the question? You have a photon. So for that photon, calculate rest mass, relativistic mass and momentum. So the answer of very first question, that rest mass, you know, since you are having a photon and photon is a massless particle, so you will write here m naught is equal to 0. Rest mass of photon is always equal to 0. And what is given? Energy of the particle is given. Energy is 5 electron volt. If it is 5 electron volt, you can convert it into joule just by multiplying with 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19, because it will be 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb volt, which is joule here. So this is the energy of a photon, total energy of the photon. And as we have derived in our last slide, that E is equal to P into C. So if E is P into C, you have to find the momentum. So what is the momentum? Momentum of photon is E by C. E is 8 into 10 raised to power minus 19 and C is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. After simplifying, you will get this momentum of the particle. Next one is relativistic mass. You also know that this P for a massless particle is m into C. So what is m? M will be equal to P by C. Momentum you have already calculated in this step. Substitute that momentum here. C, you know, 3 into 10 raised to power 8. So this is the relativistic mass of photon of energy 5 electron volt. So you have calculated the momentum of photon. You have also calculated the relativistic mass. And from the relativistic mass relationship, you know m is equal to m naught upon under root 1 minus v square upon c square. So m naught is m into root 1 minus v square upon c square. And you know that for photon v is equal to c. If v is equal to c, it means m naught is equal to 0. And since it is a massless particle, photon is massless, so its rest mass will be 0. So answer of the first question is rest mass is 0. Answer of the second question, that is your relativistic mass, that you have calculated here. This is relativistic mass. And momentum, that you have calculated in this step, right? So you can solve these numericals based upon the concept of massless particles. So this was the last topic which is associated with relativistic mechanics here. I am going to solve one more numerical here. So you have a particle with rest mass m naught. Give me 1 minute. You have a particle and let the rest mass of that particle is m naught, and that particle is traveling with c upon under root 2. This is the velocity with which that particle is moving, right? Now you have to calculate the relativistic mass, that is the first question. Find the relativistic mass of this particle, right? So find relativistic mass, this is first part. Then next one is find momentum. This is the second part of this question. Third one, find the kinetic energy. This is the third part of this question. And the last part is you also have to calculate the energy of this particle, right? So these are the 4 parts of this particular question. So first given is rest mass is given, and the velocity with which particle is moving, that is also given. So relativistic mass, you know what is the formula for relativistic mass? M is m naught upon root 1 minus v square upon c square. Clear? Now substitute the value of v, that is m naught upon under root 1 minus, instead of v you will write this c by root 2. So v square will be equal to c square upon 2, and in the denominator you have c square, so c square will get cancelled, you will get only this. It means what you are getting, this relativistic mass is root 2 times of rest mass. So if the rest mass is known, you can find the relativistic mass here. So the rest mass is given in terms of m naught, so the answer of first question is relativistic mass is root 2 m naught, right? So for this is your first part. Second one, you have to find the momentum. So you know what is the relativistic momentum? Simply momentum is mass into velocity. M, that is the relativistic mass here, and that relativistic mass, that depends upon the velocity. So you know what is the relativistic mass. You have calculated in your first step. So from that step, substitute m here, which is root 2 m naught, and you know what is the value of v? V is given, which is c upon root 2. So this root 2 will get cancelled, and what is the momentum? You have momentum as m naught into c. So this is the momentum, right? So you have relativistic mass as root 2 m naught, you have relativistic momentum as m naught c. Now the third part, you have to calculate the kinetic energy. So what is the formula for kinetic energy? So third part is you have to calculate the kinetic energy, and you know kinetic energy is formula in relativistic mechanics, m minus m naught into c square. You know what is this m? M is relativistic mass there. So substitute the value of m, which is root 2 m naught from equation number 1 minus m naught into c square. So take m naught common. What you will get here? You will get here root 2 minus 1 into m naught c square. You know what is the value of root 2? It is 1.414. So it is 0.414 m naught c square. This is the kinetic energy, right? Now finally total energy, that is the last part of this particular numerical. The total energy, you know, it is mc square from Einstein mass energy relationship. So if E is mc square, you know what is the value of m? It is root 2 m naught c square, and you know root 2 is 1.414 m naught c square. So this is the answer of your last part. So there were 4 parts of this question. The first one is that you have to calculate the relativistic mass of this particle which is having rest mass m naught and the velocity is equal to this. So, this is the relativistic mass. Relativistic momentum is this one, m naught into c is the relativistic momentum. Third one, kinetic energy. So, the kinetic energy is 0.414 m naught c square and the total energy is this one, 1.41 m naught c square. So, this is the way you will solve all these questions. So, in the next lecture we will try to solve some more numericals based upon this, and all the topics which were mentioned in relativistic mechanics we have covered here. So, after solving numericals we will move to our next topic. So, thank you so much for today.